Krishna book, chapter 45. We continue to read this chapter. All the kings in the neighboring area had left their homes in fear of Kṛṣṇa and were living in distant parts of the country. Now, after the death of Kṛṣṇa and the reinstallment of Ugrasena as king, the neighboring kings were given all kinds of presentations and comforts. Then they returned to their respective homes. So, yeah, there is a sense in it. During the demoniac rule, spiritual people, they live in fear. Just like in the Soviet Union, Soviet Union times, we never heard any spiritual lectures, and there were no books in stores that would be about spirituality, and no rituals were going on in the churches. So we didn't see anything like that. We've never heard of Vedic traditions. From the moment we were born till we became grown-ups, we never heard of it. So, just like it is said here, a lot of great kings, they were living in distant parts of the country. So it is pretty easy to set people up to act a certain way. No special education is required. This defect is there inside of the human being. And these demons, they use it. Just like Prabhupada said, there is no need in getting any kind of education to do some copulation or mating and sleeping and eating. So demons, they are not producing any kind of a certain education. There is no real education system. Any education, any philosophy nowadays is more or less about eating, sleeping, mating, and fighting. Even the space program nowadays is about the same things. The science, any science today is all about it. Math or physics is just to get the mating, feeding, eating, sleeping, a better. Just like there was a period of time in Soviet Union that was called perestroika, a certain reconstruction of the system, reboot of the system. And now we have many people coming that are ready for spiritual practice. They reinstalling this, and they start a new epoch. Just like in the end of the age of Kali, Kalki Avatar is coming, and he's reinstalling the new epoch. There would be a few devotees left by the end of the age of Kali, living high in the mountains, and even they can't really start anything. But one day they come in and they started.
Также и этот просвет в Кали-югу 10 тысяч лет, благодаря Шри Прабхупаде начался, был предопределен на начало, дал ему Шри Прабхупада.
In the age of Kali, it was started by the paramparas, by the great sages in the parampara, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And this knowledge brings the absolute truth to all the people.
Вы спросили в Америке, как вы приехали? Свободный пассажир, это было выражение в Америке, хиппи. Они садились просто без билетов куда угодно, их называли свободный пассажир.
In the States, there was a term
они все равно садились, вот и
of
свободный пассажир назывался. А вы что, свободный
free
пассажир?
traveler.
Да. Он не знал этого выражения.
And
да, я свободный пассажир.
hippies were traveling like this without any tickets. And Srila Prabhupada, when he was asked, "Are you a free traveler?" and he said yes, even though he didn't know the term.
Вы не можете проповедовать. Вы обижены на всю Америку. Вот не получите больше сознание Кришны. Все. Вот вам. Я обижен. Нет, великие души могут проповедовать.
Great sages, they preach no matter what.
Итак, эти цари, они возвращались в свои прежние.
So those kings, they were coming back to their homes.
Так в стране был восстановлен порядок.
After this nice political arrangement, the citizens of Mathura were pleased to live in Mathura, being protected by the strong arms of Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma. On account of good government, in the presence of Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma, the inhabitants of Mathura left complete satisfaction in the fulfillment of all their material desires and necessities. And because they saw Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma daily face to face, they soon forgot all material miseries completely. So the capital was in Mathura, and Krishna was not ruling it. There was a ruler, but he was ruling on behalf of someone. Of Krishna, on Krishna. It's like when we say or rule on behalf of someone, we need to understand the mood of the person. If we don't know the mood, then we won't be able to do it correctly. And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he is saying that he is equally good to everyone. But we cannot be friends to anyone, to everyone. But the thing we need to learn is to be neutral, equally neutral to everyone. But if we are devotees, if we are devoted to Krishna, this way we can be the representative of the God. But from oneself, we cannot do it, because I have something I do like, something I don't like. I prefer certain shape or light or form. There are some feelings that I read a certain way. And some people like a certain texture, some people like a certain fragrance, and wouldn't like the others. So we are being misled by the shapes and fragrances. Just like when we say, I see everyone equally as a soul, and someone would tell me, well, then you can go to the leper, to the place where the leper people are gathered together and serve there. And there would be a problem. It doesn't matter whether it's an animal or the snake or a person. It wouldn't matter for Krishna. But for me as a person, it would be a big difference. Back in the days, people could, saints, they could ask the tiger to lift him someplace. Or there was a saint who would ride an elephant, train him. The one who knows Krishna, he can understand these things, and we cannot imitate it. If someone would try to say, to address the tiger, just chant Hare Krishna, he might be eaten. So some people, they get on this level, like Lord Chaitanya, he was dancing with the tigers, and there was a big kirtan. The kirtan was so big that even the animals were not identifying themselves as the animals. Human being, he has a mind that is even stronger than those 4 principles of life, like eating and mating. And the mind is so strong that it will make him act a certain way, just like the tail of the dog. When it's curly, you cannot make it straight, no matter what you do. So if someone is acting on behalf of Krishna, he can overcome all those pleasant and unpleasant things. The rest of the people, they are very much attached to the culture. They're gonna pay attention to how you look, how you dress, if you smell good, if you're pleasant to my senses. All the young girls, they are very attractive and pleasant to the senses, no matter where she goes. But when she gets old and wrinkled, nobody's paying attention. Akbar was making a joke to one of the maids. She was very young and attractive, and he was a great person, and he just made a joke. He was not an old, a young one. Just paid attention to her and made this joke. And she was so proud that she glanced at him once and continued her thing. And he was like, but I'm Akbar. I'm not just someone from the street. So he was a bit harmed, like he thought, I am an emperor. I was supposed to be spend more time with. He didn't get angry or anything, but still, she could do something else. And his servant came, Birbal, and he immediately saw the mood of his master. He said, Birbal, I'm not in a good mood this morning. I have so much work to do.
И Акбар сразу легче стал, развеселился. Все хорошо, действительно, так оно и будет. Это же все временно, так? Чего расстраиваться? Она скоро состарится, очень быстро.
And Birbal said that don't pay attention to that incident because when this girl is going to be old, nobody's going to stop looking at her.
И вот таким образом от имени Бога, да, управлять от имени Бога, очень важно.
So to rule on behalf of the God
горожане ежедневно
is very important.
лицезрели Кришну и Балараму. Очень скоро они забыли обо всех материальных страданиях.
Krishna, the inhabitants of Mathura felt complete satisfaction in the fulfillment of their material desires and necessities, and because they saw Krishna and Balarāma daily, face to face, they soon forgot all material desires completely. It's like Adhiputa. Krishna and Balarāma is equally good to everyone. So those inhabitants, they've been satisfied. As soon as they saw Krishna and Balarāma coming out on the street, very nicely dressed and smiling and looking at the citizens with grace, the citizens were immediately filled with love and ecstasies, simply by seeing the personal presence of Mukunda. The name Mukunda refers to one who can award liberation and transcendental bliss. Krishna's presence acted as such vitalizing tonic that not only the younger generation but even the old men of Mathura became fully invigorated with useful energy and strength by regular seeing him. The old age mostly is giving problems because of the mental problems. It's very rare that you see a happy old guy. Once in Almaty we saw a couple, old couple, that were pretty happy. And we were in the park, and it was the morning, and we saw this old couple. They were singing and walking happily somewhere, because we thought that this world is full of miseries, and so we were impressed seeing them. But Shastras are saying that till you are alive, you need to be happy, no matter what. And it's not easy to be happy, but we have to chant and be happy. But someone might say, where should I take this happiness from? There are so many problems. What are you talking about? No, the happiness is within you. Where you're looking for it. The smell of happiness is... No, you're mistaking it with the smell of money or power. You need to cleanse your senses. Feel the real happiness. You have Krishna in your heart. The Krishna is on your tongue. Krishna should be in your mind as well. Why don't you let him in? Stop thinking about your own things. Otherwise, you're gonna be in misery all the time. So those citizens, they saw Krishna every day. Nanda Mahārāja and Yaśodā were also living in Mathura because Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma were there, but after some time they wanted to go back to Vrindavan. Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma went before Nanda and Yaśodā and very affectionately embraced them, and then the two lords spoke as follows: Dear father and mother, although we were born of Vasudeva and Devakī, you have been our real father and mother, because from our very birth and childhood, you raised us with great affection and love. Your affectionate love for us was more than anyone can offer one's own children. You are actually our father and mother because you raised us as your own children when we were just like orphans. For certain reasons we were rejected by our father and mother, and you protected us. Dear father and mother, we know that you will feel separation upon returning to Vrindavan and leaving us here, but please rest assured that we shall come back to Vrindavan just after giving some satisfaction to our real father and mother, Vasudeva and Devakī, and our grandfather and other family members. So those parents decided to go back to Vrindavan. Why do they want to go back, leaving Krishna behind in Dwarka, in Mathura? Here is Krishna in Mathura, and but he's different in Mathura. After this, Vasudeva had his sons initiated by sacred threads as the token of second birth, which is essential for the higher castes of human society. Vasudeva called for his family priest and learned brahmanas. So they went back to Vrindavan to wait for Krishna. Vasudeva and Devakī. Many people of Vrindavan, they didn't know what they were doing. They wouldn't even remember, did they cook today or not. They would even stop cooking sometimes, and no one was dying of starving. They had such a strong yoga, such strong concentration, that even Brijabasis, they were amazed that their bodies would, how their body would operate. If it's an intensive waiting, an ordinary man can go crazy. If you wait for someone every day, day by day, minute by minute, and the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they were waiting for Krishna 24/7. But we should understand that they were very much in yoga. That's real connection, because they had some bhava in their hearts. After this, Vasudeva has had his sons initiated by sacred thread as the token of second birth, which is essential for the higher castes of human society. Essential. Otherwise, there is no higher castes. Vasudeva called for his family priests and learned brahmanas, and the sacred thread ceremony of Krishna and Balarāma was duly performed. During this ceremony, Vasudeva gave various ornaments in charity to the brahmanas and endowed them with cows decorated with silken cloths and golden ornaments. Then Vasudeva remembered the cows he had wanted to give in charity to the brahmanas after the birth of Krishna and Balarāma, but being imprisoned by Kṛṣṇa at that time, Vasudeva had been able to do so only within his mind, for Kṛṣṇa had stolen all his cows. With the death of Kṛṣṇa, his cows were released, and now Vasudeva gave the actual cows to the brahmanas. Then Balarāma and Krishna were duly initiated with the sacred thread ceremony, and they repeated the chanting of the Gayatri mantra. The Gayatri mantra is offered to disciples after the sacred thread ceremony, and Balarāma and Krishna properly discharged the duties of chanting this mantra. Anyone who executes the chanting of this mantra has to abide by certain principles and vows. Although Balarāma and Krishna are transcendental personalities, they strictly followed the regulative principles. They were initiated by their family priest, Gargacharya, usually known as Gargamuni, the Acharya of the Vadu dynasty. According to the Vedic culture, every respectable family has an Acharya, or spiritual master. It was like that. The high class of Kshatriyas and Brahmanas, they had their own Acharya. One is not considered a perfectly cultured man without being initiated and trained by an Acharya. It is said, therefore, that one who has approved an Acharya is actually in perfect knowledge. Lord Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now we see that there can be some higher class representatives, and they need to set an example of a certain attitude, certain behavior, and they try to fulfill their duties. But at the same time, they take bribes, or they gather together and abuse the alcohol, or they would use some vulgar words. So the society is going down. When the higher class is getting this Gayatri mantra, he should not be in this sort of duality. Then they really become this higher class, capable of supporting the society.
И Господь Кришна, и Господь Баларāma, Верховная Личность Бога, никто не сравнится с ними в знании и учености.
Lord Kṛṣṇa and Lord Balarāma are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all education and knowledge. There was no need for them to accept a spiritual master or acharya, yet for the instruction of ordinary men, they also accepted a spiritual master for advancement in spiritual knowledge. So they would take a day to learn a certain subject. An ordinary man cannot learn like that. It took them 64 days to learn 64 different signs. It is customary, after being initiated in the Gayatri Mantra, for one to live away from home for some time under the care of the Acharya, to be trained in spiritual life. During this period, one has to work under the spiritual master as an ordinary menial servant. He can be from the higher caste, but he still needs to go and serve. Otherwise, he won't be able to rule. If you're a ruler, you need to do everything being a servant. You need to remember that you are the servant. Without the initiation, you cannot really understand that. Otherwise, you're gonna get this demoniac mentality. Without any samskars, if someone would like to rule the proper way, but without any samskars, he won't be able to do it. Even with the devotees who are getting this initiation, the material energy is acting this way. There are many rules and regulations for brahmachari living under the care of an acharya, and Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma strictly followed those regulative principles while living under the instruction of their spiritual master Sandipani Muni, who was a resident of Avantipura in the northern Indian district of Ujjain. According to spiritual injunctions, a spiritual master should be respected and regarded on an equal level with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma exactly followed those principles with great devotion and underwent the regulations of brahmacharya. Thus they satisfied their spiritual master, who instructed them in Vedic knowledge. Being very satisfied, Sandipani Muni instructed them in all the intricacies of Vedic wisdom and in supplementary literatures such as the Upanishads. Because Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma happened to be Kshatriyas, they were specifically trained in military science, politics and ethics. Politics includes such departments of knowledge as how to make peace, how to fight, how to pacify, how to divide and rule, and how to give shelter. When a certain disciple is going through these samskaras, he has a strong connection with his spiritual master, and he will serve his spiritual master for his life long. We should understand that instructions of spiritual master is nectar. There is such a book called The Nectar of Instructions. Because in real life, no one wants any kind of instructions. When someone is getting the power, it's the end of the civilization. Nowadays, they just use the power, so there is no nectar. The power only requires for the criminals. For the ordinary people, it does not require. Those people from the higher class nowadays, they didn't go through brahmacharya school, so they have no samskaras, and they had to use power in order to rule the society. And this is the thing we're reading from is a different conception. There should be a power to rule the animals. but a man goes through the nectar of instructions. So if the ruler has this kind of knowledge from his childhood, he would be eager to serve his spiritual master in order to get more and more instructions, and thus he can rule the proper way. And he would also try to get other people to get this kind of education, and this would preserve this knowledge. So we're gonna stop here, and the chapter is going on still, but we might have some questions now. Srila Prabhupada was saying that we need to get mantra from a representative of 4 sampradayas, one of the 4. Shri, Lakshmi, Brahma. If a devotee is not getting the mantra during the initiation, would it work? Yes, yes, it works. Hare Krishna mantra does not require any initiation. Only Gayatri wouldn't work. But this Hare Krishna mantra might not be easy to chant if you're not initiated, because of the conditioning. But this mantra is so powerful that it does not require any initiation.
Скажите, пожалуйста, какое должно прийти понимание при правильном изучении Бхагавад-гиты?
If I study the Bhagavad Gita right, what would be the sign that I'm reading it correctly? You need to discharge your mind when you read it. The proper understanding of Bhagavad Gita usually is connected to our memory, capacity, and our understanding. The science is mostly about this. When you study what Krishna and Balarāma is talking about, when your mind is set that everything is, you see that everything is logically, then you can really have the full trust in it. And many people, they read Bhagavad Gita on the level that they have some doubts, and Bhagavad Gita is breaking those doubts every day. Every day they need to read it, and in order to break the doubts, like every morning they would have some doubts, and they read it, and those doubts go away. How do you prove that you have firm faith? Is that you hear Hare Krishna mantra as a vibration in your heart.
Как значит, какой-то из предыдущих. Суть вопроса, если в результате наставничества произошло разрушение веры.
Ну, да, кажется, я понял тот вопрос, да. Может быть, я просто не до конца ответил на него. Сейчас я попытаюсь. Я понимаю, это случай как бы нередкий, типичный, когда идет становление, да, этой культуры.
The question is about the
типичные как бы ошибки. многие проходят, наставники,
when
подопечные попадают.
one's faith been broken
Создавать из этого какую-то большую проблему.
after certain
Мы тоже развиваемся.
unqualified instructions,
Чтобы установить систему наставничества, нужно немало времени,
and
чтобы она заработала
a
хорошо.
person wants to reinstall this faith.
Вот, поэтому понятно, что для начинающего преданного
Yes,
это может быть шок.
it might be like
Разочарование
this,
старшим преданным это может быть серьезный
that
шок, а многие даже, не многие, но некоторые даже кидают
some
движение.
people might even leave the
Серьезная
movement
проблема.
because
Хотя
they
проблемы никакой
face
нет.
some kind of some
То есть
sort of
нужно быть
mistreatment or
сосредоточенным. У вас есть наставник или нет наставника.
misunderstanding
Вы сосредоточены на шикше
of the
Шилы
instructor.
Прабхупады.
But
Вот
there
что
will
самое
be
главное.
no problem at all
Не
if you would
подменяйте
be
это наставничеством.
fixed
Наставничество лишь служит
on getting
шикше
shiksha
Прабхупады,
of
его
Srila
книгам,
Prabhupada,
наставлениям и так далее.
because any
Но
mentor,
если
any
вы
instructor
подменили эту
is
вещь, вы будете, может
serving
быть, сильно
the
разочарованы.
shiksha of Srila Prabhupada. If you
И вам
don't
трудно будет потом вообще
get
находиться в
it,
Исконе.
then it would be really hard for you to
Искон
stay in
— это Шрила
ISKCON,
Прабхупада прежде всего.
because ISKCON
Там все в порядке.
is Srila
Держите
Prabhupada.
за его лотосные стопы.
The first
Если
of all,
такое случилось, как
is
вы
Srila Prabhupada.
говорите,
You need
есть
to
потеря веры в наставника, это,
hold
это, с
on
одной
the
стороны,
lotus
ошибка
feet of
наставника, с
Srila
другой стороны,
Prabhupada.
неофитство подопечного.
Usually all the
Что значит
mistakes
неофитство? Он
is
увидел какой-то недостаток и
about
все
two
остальное
things.
перечеркнул. Все
From one
положительные вещи.
side is
Забыл об этом. Это
some,
неофитство называется.
there would be some
Поэтому здесь, если вы попали в
disqualification
такую
of the
ситуацию, можете
instructor, and at the
нейтрально
same
сейчас
time
относиться
the
к наставнику
disciple
пока.
is also
Не сближаться.
is not
Просто
very
читать
good
книги Прабхупады, слушать
in
лекции,
accepting
нравится.
this science.
Со
So
временем это
the best thing
постепенно
is to
можно
have some
наладить
kind of a
или
distance,
невозможно наладить, найдете другого наставника.
and you can have a distance while you're reading
Но все равно, пожалуйста,
Srila
не оставайтесь
Prabhupada's
неофитами
books.
долго.
It's better not to stay
Вот такими людьми,
at the
которые
beginner
по пустякам
level of the beginner,
Кришна же есть,
because there would be a lot of
Supreme
things that
есть,
might
Prabhupada
make you
есть,
upset.
Основачарья есть, в Исконе.
There is Acharya, there's
Есть,
Srila
можно
Prabhupada, there's
воспевать,
his
изучать
books,
шастры.
there's his teachings.
Не оставайтесь долго неофитами.
Don't stay in a neophyte for a long time.
Почему внешняя красота не всегда сочетается с внутренними качествами?
Why is it like this
Ведь это
that
хорошая карма за какие-то
some
заслуги
good-looking
человека
person might not
может
have
быть возвышенным?
good-looking qualities
Кали-юга.
inside of him? That's
Кали-юга
because of the
главная,
age of Kali.
черта Кали-юги — это
The main feature of Kali,
обман.
of the age of Kali, is
Поэтому так происходит.
the
Все хотят родиться красивыми или стать красивыми, или привести себя в красивое
Misreading.
состояние. Это обман. Все стремятся к этому.
or illusion.
А внутренне каждый имеет свои
Everybody is trying to look good,
Мгм.
to make some kind of
Это
illusion,
Кали-юга, поэтому так.
but
В
inside
какие-то эпохи не было разницы. Если,
he might not
если
have
человек
any
был красив
qualities.
внешне, то понятно, что он заслужил это какое-то
back in the
шикарное
days, back in
благочестие.
other epochs,
А сейчас даже
people, if
благочестие,
you
которое человек
see
имеет, он
someone
использует для обмана.
good looking, it would
Поэтому
mean
то, что
that
становится наказанным.
inside he
Все
might
красивые
be
люди с плохими качествами
also
наказаны
good.
судьбой. Их любят, потом бросают, потом ненавидят. Это благочестие, которое человек хочет использовать для собственной выгоды, для обмана. То есть, собственно, не является благочестием. Настоящей красотой это не является.
Nowadays people, good-looking people, they
Подделка.
use this
Но бывает, что человек внутренне прекрасен, и
attractive
внешне так
appearance to deceive
прекрасен. Это, знаете, как драгоценный камень.
the ones who are being attracted by.
Что можно сказать о книге «Манифест Варнашрамы» Харикеша Смай? Можно ли ее читать преданным?
What can you say about the book
Ну, смотря каким преданным,
Manifest,
знаете.
Varna Ashrama's
Есть такие фанатики,
Manifestum?
что лучше такие книги не попадали в руки.
Would you recommend
Но для русских не рекомендовано. во
for
всяком
the
случае.
devotees to read it? Well, not for the
Правда,
Russian
правда.
devotees at
Ну
least.
вот хотите знать, вот мнение
It's not
Исхода мирового
recommended.
про Россию. Вот, да, так говорят, что русским такие книги
This
давать
is
не нужно.
what
Они могут поднять революцию.
they say.
Не
For
хорошо.
Russian devotees, it's better not to read it because they're very revolutionized.
Посвящение — это полное предание духовному учителю. Если учитель оставит тело и ушел. Как продолжать выполнять наставления?
What does it mean when you get initiation?
Так духовный учитель это не
Would you
тело, о чем
be
вы
all
думаете?
devoted to your spiritual master? For example, your spiritual master is left
Тело не может быть духовным учителем.
this planet, this body.
Как вы так размышляете, духовный учитель? Это не
What do
духовный
you
учитель.
do? Well, if you think that spiritual master is the body,
Он умер, и все с
then
ним
it's a
умерло.
problem.
А
If
наставления
he
остаются
dies, then
духовные,
nothing
они
is
же
left.
живые.
But his
Они же в душу
instructions
проникают.
are
Это
there
же духовный
still.
обмен. Разве это телесный
His
обмен?
instructions getting into the soul.
Когда гуру уходит
not
с планеты, вы
material.
еще ближе к Богу становитесь.
When your guru leaves your planet,
Боже мой.
leaves the planet, you even closer to God then.
Вы должны как-то серьезно изучить эту тему.
You need
Гуру
to be more serious about
Вы совсем как бы духовный учитель опускаете на
studying
материальную
Guru
платформу, при этом
Tattva.
принимаете гуру.
You
Как
think
вы
that
принимаете?
guru
В каком сознании?
is on a material platform, and still you want to get
Только
initiation.
потому, что у него есть материальное тело, вы утверждаете тело.
Just because he has the
Тогда вы
material body,
говорите,
you think he's
Вы должны
also
хотя бы теоретически
material.
твердо понимать это.
At least theoretically, you need to understand the difference.
Что значит почувствовать вибрацию в сердце от
What
повторения Махамантры?
What does it mean to feel a vibration in the heart chanting Hare Krishna?
Где и в какой
Could you
пробирке их покажут?
Give me the feeling.
Эти ощущения. Сейчас я
No,
сорву.
no, I cannot give you a feeling. It's not
Ощущение,
chemical
как
reactions that
прям.
you can mix and you would feel it after
По
listening
всей
to me.
сети онлайн
It will
распространится
spread
аромат
all around.
экстаза.
The fragrance of the ecstasy would spread all around the
Вы
internet.
должны сами научиться этому.
No, you need to learn it by yourself.
Вот вам гуру дает Харе
The
Krishna.
Guru is giving you Hare Krishna mantra.
Прабхупада нам всем дал Харе Кришна.
Prabhupada gave us this mantra, the regulative principles, and now we need to become serious about it.
Вы ищете чувственных
You're
наслаждений.
looking for
Все хотят экстаза. Это хорошо. Ну, в всяком
sense
случае, хороший
gratification. That's good.
экстаз. Это
You're looking
возвышенное
for an
чувственное
ecstasy.
наслаждение.
That's
Но
good.
всё-таки учитесь
But still, you
служению.
need to learn how to serve.
Учитесь повторять мантру. Как
Learn how to chant
преданный.
this
Не
mantra
для своего экстаза,
in order
для
to
преданного.
serve the Lord. Serve.
Займи меня преданным служением.
We ask
Полностью энергия Кришны, о всепривлекающий, о дающий радость. Займи
to
меня
have
преданным
ourselves
служением. Вот наша молитва.
engaged in the devotional service. We're not asking for ecstasy. Give me some ecstasy. Give me some
Ну
ecstasy.
да, жалко что ли.
No,
Как-то, знаете, выглядит неприятно.
it's not looking good this
Настоящая
way.
медитация это дал
The real
Бхактивинода Тхакур.
meditation was
Займи
given
меня
by
преданным служением.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this meaning, and it
Это
means,
совпадает с нашей душой.
please engage me in the devotional
Не совпадает
service.
с нашей ложной душой.
And it
Или аханкарой.
synchronized with our soul,
душой
but it
совпадает,
does not
это
synchronize with our false ego.
Вот эту вибрацию нужно
This
почувствовать.
vibration you need to feel.
Я слуга Кришны, слуга духовного.
I am the servant
Вот
of
эта
the
вибрация.
spiritual master. I am the servant of Krishna.
И в этом счастье
And
уже есть.
this is where you get your
Есть
happiness.
какой-то-
You don't need to look for any other tastes.
Ну, как я и сказал, вы это достигнете
Just like I said,
самостоятельно.
you will get it
Практикуйте.
on your own,
Терпеливо,
practicing
потому что, наверное, уйдут
by
годы.
yourself. It will take some years.
У большинства.
For most of us.
В тексте говорилось о посвящении Кришны Баларамы в мантры Гайатри. У меня такой вопрос. Мы же знаем, что бывает, когда человек получает Гайатри
The
до
text
Харинама,
we read
чтобы вот
from
помогать
mentioned Gayatri mantra.
отцу, там, в различных ритуалах и так далее. Может
Нам рекомендовали. Это настрой на 16 кругов мантры, это самскара. Могущественное. Но Прабхупада хотел, чтобы в нашем храме восстановить все действия
There were many
самскара.
recommendations, and Prabhupada wanted the Varna Ashrama Dharma to reinstall all the rituals.
Со временем, если культура уже будет как бы
With the
более
time,
сатвична, это возможно.
when the culture is more sattvic, it would be
Сейчас
possible.
еще не сатвичная культура, не
It's
такая
not a sattvic
сатвичная,
culture right now.
имеется в виду, что ребенок
What does it mean?
Там кланяется, там все делает. Нас забывает. Вот какая сейчас история у нас пока еще. Почему? Потому что еще рождение важно.
The birth is still important nowadays.
Качество важнее всего.
Qualities are important.
Но когда человек рождается
when a person is being born under the influence of the mode of goodness,
это исключительный случай в то время, а сейчас это же понимают что-то Харинама, все, это Бог. Тут объясняют каким-то образом. Харе Кришна на другую сторону. И так они 16 кругов повторяют. Ну, там много имен написано сразу. Я прокатился полкруга. Я не знаю сколько, но так или иначе они могут. Слышал от одного Махараджа в старые времена еще, что так можно делать для таких людей. Если могут. Ну как они же не слышат? Если они не слышали, то как вы? Только то, что ты слышал, ты можешь. Если не с рождения глухонемы, не слышат.
Вы сказали, заменить на преданное служение, когда мы просим. Я вот все хочу глубже понять. У меня ум сразу устроит какие-то внешние, да, что преданное служение, значит, нужно там, ну, послужить преданным, там, подготовить просады.
When I think about devotional service, I think some practical service. I think of practical service, like cooking or serving some devotees. But it is important to be sincere in your devotional service. So when we chant our mantra, do we ask for this to be sincere in this? We ask to engage our feelings in the devotional service. We need to feel this happiness. Then we are engaged in devotional service.
О, Господи, Боже мой, ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой, дошла до чего. Какие ни были чувства, должна чувствовать счастье.
It doesn't matter what kind of senses you have, you need to feel happiness. Then you engage in devotional service. If you do everything formally, it's good, but at the same time, if you feel sad, then it's not a devotional service. But from the outside, you do everything good, proper way. But if you have the taste for devotional service, then you are engaged in. This is the internal energy, Ananda. The internal energy is called Ananda. We address it, Hare, please engage me in the devotional service. And she opened Kṛṣṇa and Rama to us. We can only understand it in the state of Ananda. It's his internal potency. This is whom we are addressing to when we chant. Sometimes I feel Ananda at my job place. It's interesting. when you are among the devotees, you're not feeling Nanda, but when you're at work, you feel it more.
Хорошо.
That's good. Interesting. There is one woman who is practicing, and she heard about this point among the 10 offenses of the holy name, that we should not put on the same level Krishna and such demigods as Shiva and Brahma. And she got upset hearing it, because she had some association with the devotees of Lord Shiva at the same time.